Well, this is one heck of a chapter, and I think it's supposed to be on break. Hopefully that's the case, but at this point, all I can say is that Ragnarok possibly begins. I mean, call me crazy for saying that, but the way how it went in this chapter, oh man. So, if anything else, let's just get this started. We get to see that the children are yelling for help and says there's a monster right there that looks like a giant snake and causing a lot of damage. We get to see the teachers of the school, Mr. Bread and Mr. Kiba and Mr. Anji, the librarian, principal, and teacher. They end up seeing a monster going on a rampage and they end up fighting it. And we see Saul coming in using his hockey ability and uses like a move called Final Exorcistation or something like that. We get to see that the teachers know how to fight because they were actually former like warrior pirates or something like that. After that, we get to see Robin and Chopper trying to figure out what was going on. All I can really tell you is that one of the PE teachers, Mr. Wolf, is actually damaged and injured very badly. They end up talking about the situation, what's with the children, but he warns them not to touch them because they're not waking up and that something's happening to them. They're like sleepwalking. We don't really know why, but we have to it that they need to like sound the alarm because there's danger, and we get to see more monsters showing up after someone makes the freaking like someone making the horn or blowing the horn. There's a bird and there's a beast, and then all the other kids are passing out. They don't even know what's going on. Even right now, Robin and Chopper's like, whoa, what the hell's going on? And Chopper's gonna like examine them. We get to go back to the realm of the dead, and Loki, who is not unfazed the idea of not removing the last shackle. You guys made a mistake right here. You think keeping one sea stone shackle is gonna enough to sap my own strength? You're pretty stupid. And we get to see that Loki picks up the hammer Ragnir and ends up saying, hey, if I were you, I suggest you let me out now unless you want to save Elbaf, because from what I understand, Elbaf's greatest weakness is lightning and fire, and I will wipe you all out. And we have to it that Loki swings his hammer Ragnir to a tree or something like that and summons a bunch of lightning and fire starts to spread. And they go like, "What the heck's going on? This is bad news." We get to see one of the teachers talking to Saul and the principal, or one of the schools of Elbaf teachers or associates or members. She ends up talking about like about, I know these monsters because these kids made them. It's like, this one's Nika and this one's Loki. Look at this one. It's a Storm, a Draugr, a Nihauger, and then Jormungandr and my mommy. And she goes like, hey, are you kids finished yet? She says, not really, but thinking about this stuff gives me nightmares. And the woman talks about that these creatures that are alive, they're actually the things that the kids fear most. This is the kids' nightmare world. And the chapter ends off with like one of the gods' knights saying, okay, I summoned what you wanted me to do, and I'll let it up once the runs are on the ship. We have to it that one of the gods' knights, I don't remember his name, forgive me, I guess he's just a scumbag for me to not to remember him, but all I know is he asked Gunko, like, hey, Gunko, what scares you the most? And Gunko says, Nika, and the chapter ends up there. So, looks like to me, this is possibly the start of Ragnarok. I mean, it's pretty bad news already, all things considered. And because of the hammer Ragnir, I did some research on that thing. It's like, the Rag came from Ragnarok and Nir came from Mjolnir. So, you can imagine those two words combined together by Oda. Yeah, you're gonna have a big, devastating apocalypse happening with that kind of weapon, because it just not only summons lightning, but it also creates fire. So yeah, welcome to hell, boys and girls. Talk about crazy stuff, right? So other than that, the kids are having to go to sleep. Who's sleeping right now ends up having to have these creatures come out to life because one of the god's knights' abilities. So I think it's that dragon god knight looking like thing, and the other guy that looks like a commander with a lot of beards or something like that. We haven't seen like Fingerlin yet, but all I know is he's possibly going into action very soon. As for Loki, he is already starting Ragnarok, or both of them are, the God's Knights and Loki. So you can imagine like Elbaf is going to be destroyed. Well, it's a big possibility considering that the God's Knights are very strong, and they're not something to mess with. Not to mention, knowing that Loki is now unleashed and he's just swinging his hammer, Ragnar, which is like I said, came from two root words, from Ragnarok and Mjolnir. So, yeah, that's gonna bring devastation, and like I said, and repeating myself, I would not be surprised if Elbaf gets destroyed, and that began Ragnarok because of Loki starting Ragnarok, or both the Gods Knights and Loki doing Ragnarok together, even though they're not on the same side. Anyways, bad news, and not very great. Now that Luffy and Zoro unleashed the monster, and the Gods Knights are going to make things worse, it's only a matter of time that Elbaf is going to be destroyed. It's like the entire island's weakness is freaking like lightning and fire. So you put those destructive two elements together, you got like a devastation of apocalypse. So until then, I'll see you guys later. I'm Alpha Zero. Have a good day. I'll see you guys next time, alright? Peace out. Bye-bye. Toot-ta-da!